Welcome to episode 1855, 1855, and thank you for joining us from 189 countries worldwide. Well, I'm using the flag as the backdrop today because I'm feeling a little patriotic. No, and I know most people listening, well, not most people listening, but most countries listening, I shouldn't say most people, are not in the US of A, and we're glad to have you. But you probably saw the movie. And we saw it over the weekend. Yes, that is Top Gun, the remake of the long, multi-decade anticipated movie. And it's great. Wow, what a great movie. Now, you may not know this about me, but I love aviation. The first model, I used to build model aircraft as a kid, and the first model I ever built was the F-14 Tomcat. Yes, and that was in the movie, that plane. That's the one, well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I won't spoil it. But the plane was in the movie. And there are so many amazing things about aviation. You know, when I was a kid, I used to go to Santa Monica Airport and just watch the planes take off and land. I loved aviation so, so much and still love it. And yes, your host knows how to fly a plane. And I will tell you about how my mom talked me out of flying, which sometimes you should listen to mom. Yes, I know, Mom, you're probably listening, and I admit it, you were right about that one. So I didn't start flying recreationally because not enough time to do it and to do it well. So we'll get to our guest in a moment. We have Lynette Zang back with us today to talk about gold. Yes, gold. And she's a bit of a gold bug. I'm not a gold bug, but gold has a lot to teach us. And we're going to dive into all sorts of monetary policy issues that should be very interesting to real estate investors. And we'll get to that in a moment here. But back to aviation. You know, it is amazing. Number one, and I kind of liken it to real estate because it is amazing how enduring these aircraft frames are. Yes. When they design a plane, it is so difficult to design an aircraft that we still have the same basic aircraft designs that were created in the 60s. Yes, a very innovative time in the world and in the US, the 60s. And it's amazing to me how we sort of think we are living in this amazing time. And in many ways, it is an amazing time to be alive. You've heard me say that. But in a lot of ways, a lot of this amazingness was invented a long, long time ago. These airframes, the basic, now the electronics on the planes have certainly advanced and changed, but the basic airframe was invented decades and decades ago. I mean, think about it. The 747, when was its first flight? Late 60s, early 70s? And it's just incredible how little innovation in many ways there has been since then. And I attribute that largely to fiat money. Yes. And we've talked about that before. You screw up the money and you screw up a lot of things. Just imagine if we had taken that same exponential path of invention from the late 1800s into the 1900s and the 60s, a particularly innovative time, and the 50s as well, when we did all kinds of amazing things in the world. And I don't know. It's just an interesting debate. It's interesting to look at that. Also, you notice that these amazing inventions weren't burdened very much with crazy lefty ideas like affirmative action, right? They were just a meritocracy, right? The best people were recruited, were tapped to do all of these amazing things like the Manhattan Project that ended World War II. The examples are endless of this. Just really think about it. Think about it. Look back to how people like Buckminster Fuller and the rest predicted the future, and how a movie, a great movie, by the way, 2001: A Space Odyssey by one of the greatest directors ever, Stanley Kubrick, was created in the 60s. And they were envisioning what 2001 would be like. Well, we traded that. We traded the flying cars. We traded all of this for the welfare state and for political correctness. It's just truly unbelievable. Fiat money, the PC movement, the welfare state, all of this was traded for the incredible greatness of innovation we should have had. Now, we've certainly had a lot of greatness and innovation anyway, despite these forces. But just imagine what it would have been, because you can't hear the dogs that don't bark. We never know what might have been if we had not had Nixon in 1971 taking us off the gold standard. If we had not had the rise of the Great Society, well, really promoted before LBJ, but during the Great Depression by Roosevelt, and at least Roosevelt made it a make work program. People had to work, right? They had to build the Hoover Dam and do all kinds of great things, right? In the interstate highway system. But just imagine if we hadn't had LBJ's Great Society. Just imagine what we would have done if things were a meritocracy and if money was sound. Just really think about that. Ponder it, study it. Listen to my prior episodes on this topic because it's truly amazing. And the Top Gun movie really was another example of that. They didn't say it. No, it wasn't in there. It's just something you could read between the lines, right? Why don't we have a plane like the beginning, the first real scene of the movie? Why don't we have that plane? I mean, think about it. What was it? The SR-71 or is it the SR-72? SR-71, I think, was the plane. I mean, that was decades old. And the record still has yet to be broken for the speed at which an airplane can travel, right? I mean, how is it that we have not broken that record? And it's been decades. That's a shame. That is a real, real shame, folks. But anyway, the movie is great. See it once, see it twice. And, you got to just notice Tom Cruise for a moment. I mean, look, I know everybody has their complaints about Tom Cruise and Scientology and all of this stuff. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But clearly, this guy has got to be the most successful actor of all time. I mean, is there a more successful actor than that? I don't know. Not that I'm aware of. But truly, the movie is awesome. Go see it. Check it out. It's great. Okay, before we get to our guest today, I have literally 2 slides to show you. I know, it's usually a lot more than that. But this one, for all of the crash bros out there who are waiting for the real estate crash, don't hold your breath. Because as of now, these are Black Knight statistics. Black Knight does a lot of stats on the real estate industry and what's going on out there. And as of now, look at this statistic. This goes into something I have predicted would create an ongoing housing shortage, possibly for decades to come. As of now, Black Knight says 24% of all first lien mortgages have interest rates below 3%. Wow. Now there was the wrong sound effect. I don't even know what that sound effect is. This is the one I meant to give you. 24% of all mortgages have an interest rate below 3%. What in the world would motivate these people to ever sell those properties? Think of the mortgage market, meaning all of the existing mortgages out there in the country and in the world. Think of that for a moment. And think of what happens to those existing mortgages when interest rates on current and future mortgages are higher. The value of the existing mortgages goes up dramatically, but the cost to repay those mortgages goes down dramatically. Well, that means, if you think about it, think about that thing we've discussed, that principle that most people consider the house the asset and the mortgage the liability. I know that's how it's going to look on a balance sheet. But is that the correct way to look at it? I would argue no, it's not the correct way. Because when that mortgage is a below current rate mortgage and becomes irreplaceable, remember, the 2 value drivers for anything, whether it be currency, mortgages, precious metals, whatever, the 2 value drivers are simply scarcity and utility. That's it. According to Jason Hartman, yours truly. That's my definition of the two value drivers for anything: scarcity and utility. That's what makes something valuable. Well, the mortgages have tons of utility because they're financing people's homes, whether they be investment properties or personal residences. And they are totally scarce because they are irreplaceable. They can never be created again. This will create a housing shortage for decades to come. And remember, this is the 24% of the people who have mortgages below 3%. But what about the rest of them have mortgages below 3.5%, or below 4%, or below 4.5%, or below 5%? All of these people have irreplaceable mortgages that cannot be duplicated. Done. Baked. Now, maybe we'll see mortgage rates go down in the future, but it looks like this week they'll probably go up even more. So show me, crash bros. That's what they call them, the crash bros. Where is the distressed seller? Where is the massive influx of inventory going to ever come from? Remember, 40% of the homes in the country are free and clear. So you got 24% with mortgage rates below 3% on existing mortgages. You got 40% that are free and clear. How would you create distress in a market that would cause millions of people to suddenly unload their homes? It just ain't going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to be wrong about that. We'll see. What do you think? Go to jasonhartman.com/ask. Also, contest winners, or not contest, I keep calling it that. It's a raffle. It's a giveaway. Winners for last week on the YouTube comments, $50 Amazon gift card goes to Ted Bauer, who made a comment on one of the YouTube videos, the best real estate information. Thanks, Jason. Okay. And then Brady GTT did an Apple podcast review that says, love Jason's insights. Nothing more permanent than a temporary government initiative, or something like that. Love Jason's insights. That was actually Milton Friedman's insight. I would love to take credit, but I can't. It is brilliant for sure. He can come across a little confident, too confident sometimes, but hey, okay. All right, there you go. All right, folks, winners, go to jasonhartman.com/ask, claim your $50 Amazon gift card. And let's get to our guest today, Lynette. She will also be here with us on Wednesday again to discuss all the things we're discussing in two parts. So here we go.